Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's adventure of I Cast Fireball, an actual play 5e D&D adventure where we go through the campaign Tyranny of Dragons. I'm Thomas, your DM for this adventure, and around the table we have...
Malamara.
Lanstalen.
And Fleeple.
Let's check in with where the Jhank Squad is. A very tense situation. Malamar being captured after having, without her knowing, murdered a few individuals in Neverwinter. In the Bloody Bowl, Fleeple and Lance both getting a one-on-one meet and greet, and Mal being very gruff to them, very consumed in Air 2's power, so to speak. And the leader of the Bloody Bowl, or at least their host, Wanilium, in describing how the players could make it up to him to maybe see to it where he could release Mal. Chaos ensued. Battle. Fighting and pushing their way out by force as the Jhank Squad is become very good at just making their way, pushing their way through and demolishing every NPC the DM throws at them.
Which is a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at how far we've come.
You give us a door, we figure out how to get through it.
So good at it that they became level 8, and they ended the episode very tense, talking with Mal. Fleeple calling Malamara a liability to Lance, and Lance holding the party together for the time being. They go to the transportation hut after Fleeple flashes his Harper badge, and the Harper agent looks up at them and goes, "Where to?"
Well, we need to get to Waterdeep, so I suppose we might as well get there sooner than later.
You heard him.
All right. Hold on. And as they finish the sigil with signifying the direction to go to Waterdeep, the teleportation circle lights up, and the three of you walk forward into the magic. And but a second passes for each of you. A second of blinding light when all of a sudden it dissipates immediately. And you are accosted not only with a different sight, but with a different temperature, different climate. It's a little bit musty in here, a little bit old where you are ending up. And you look around and it is dark. But thankfully for all of you, you have dark vision. And you can see your surroundings. And as you do, you seem to be in a dusty old cellar. Now, next to the circle, there is a chair and a desk, just like you had seen previously in Neverwinter and at Candlekeep Library. But nobody is present.
And I hoped that maybe in this, crown jewel of the Sword Coast that we might be able to get a bit of a nicer place for us to meet with. But, maybe times are hard. Let's go take a look.
As you push your way through some of the dust, there's a few cobwebs, and you see a set of stairs, wooden, and they look pretty rickety, quite honestly. They look a little unstable, and you start climbing up there to lead to the upstairs to whatever may lie beyond.
Anybody else feel like this is very suspicious that a port city that probably has this teleportation circle used fairly often is just abandoned?
Is this Malamara saying this, or is this Mickey saying this?
This is... You know what? Let's do both. I was saying it, but let's do both. I'll just do it again as Malamara because you're right.
I think that's the most words Malamara has ever said in a single sentence.
Mal reaches forward and stops Fleeple. And she says, "Does anybody else feel like this is a little suspicious? That what I would assume is a well-used teleportation circle in a port city seems completely abandoned? Lance, do you want to scout ahead or keep your eye out and I'll go in front of all of us? And I don't know, this is just giving me some creepy vibes down this hallway, like a creepy death hallway."
Yes, well, I'm not very familiar with how cities work, so I suppose I can take your word for it.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll take the lead, Lance, unless you want to go first. I'm happy to be out front.
I'm sure you are. Lance will kind of just walk ahead, taking that invitation to scout it out, being a sneaky person, so that if we are somewhere where we aren't assuming we are, if there's something nefarious, that hopefully we can catch it by surprise and not it us.
All right, roll a stealth check.
Okay. Dump my dice. Okay. Here, doing sneaky things, roguey things. Stealth 17.
All right, you feel pretty sneaky there. As you walk up these rickety steps, you in the lead there, you see that there is just an opening. The doorway is what I should say. It just has an opening. There's nothing blocking you from going further. And as you go further into it, do you peek around into the doorway?
Yes, I will peek.
You see crypts, or rather, this is a crypt. And you see sarcophaguses lining the wall here. About 30 feet. And then at the very end, you see a stone door. And you do see some, windows that are iron windows, if that makes sense. So, glass inset with iron, where it is letting in some sunlight here. But, yeah, you appear to be in a crypt.
I will kind of turn as the group's kind of walking up the stairs and just kind of whisper yell so they can hear me, but also quietly, we're in a crypt. There's dead people around us. It's kind of
So this is a creepy death hallway.
It is literally a creepy death hallway.
Well, because it's us, I feel the need to ask, are they live dead people, or are they dead people?
Yes, they're alive. I had a decent chat with them, and they seem pretty friendly. We've been invited to Of course they're dead. They're dead. They're dead.
Mal looks at him with a long-suffering look. She did not appreciate that sarcasm.
Yes, they're dead. So, if you want to come up here, I can move forward and check out the next room and see why in the world we're in a crypt.
Sure.
So I'll sneak to the next door.
You got this,
All
sport.
Go ahead and roll a stealth check.
Oh my gosh. That's a critical fail.
Oh, good.
So 10?
I don't think you ever lied.
Oh wait, I have a 4. I have a 4 dice. 11.
So you sneak forward, and as you sneak, you're like, these guys are probably alive. Gosh dang it! I hope not. I sure hope not. And you don't realize you're just inner monologue. You don't realize that you're actually stepping on some loose bone. But your inner monologue, you don't recognize it at all. And so you're like, all right. And you get to the other side of the door. Nothing happens though. So you were so stealthy, Lance.
So stealthy. The dead didn't notice me.
The dead didn't notice you.
Yeah, that's what it should have been, a critical fail, and you hear from inside a sarcophagus, keep it down! All right, I will see if I can open the door if it's locked, and if it's locked, I'll open it. If it's not locked, I'll open it.
Yeah, it's a huge, stone slab, and it is very heavy.
So is it it's not a door, it's literally like a stone in front of a passageway?
From what you can see, it is intricately carved to make it look like a door, but it is stone. And as you're looking at the carvings, it's very it's very, very intricate. Better, I don't know a better way to describe it. It's there are some fine details that were put into this, or inlaid into this stone specifically.
Is there a language written, or is it just imagery?
It looks to be just imagery. Especially with your, what languages do you speak again?
I speak Elven, Common, Orcish, Halfling, and Draconic.
Yeah, so it appears to be imagery, but as you are looking around, you see right up at the top of the door, or right above the door, I should say, there is the word MYRNA.
All right. Yeah, I'll just wait till they catch up.
Fleeple and Mal, you avoid the loose bones, and you do not disturb the dead.
Good for you. Yeah, I cleared the way.
And you see also the intricacies of the stonework, and you also see this word above the door, MYRNA.
That doesn't happen to be Common, Draconic, Sylvan, Druidic, or Primordial, does it?
It is written in Common.
It's common. I can read it.
Yeah. Mal's like, even I can read this,
that.
folks.
Yeah, does it feel like a family name on a crypt, kind of? Is that what it looks like?
I mean, it's above the door, which, if it were on the outside, would make sense. But it's on the inside, so why would they have the name on the inside as well?
Well, I think we're sealed in, and we have to. Is this you said this kind of slab? Is it like a way? Can I investigate it to see if there's a way to open it?
Sure. Go ahead and roll an investigation check, and then we'll go to Fleeple and Mal to see if you'd like to do anything in addition to this.
Natural 20. I rolled a critical fail and went the opposite direction. Next roll.
Balance.
All things in balance. Just what was the total for kicks and giggles?
Investigation? That is 29. Because I leveled up and got a +1 to my intelligence.
Level 8. Yeah, so this door can open. It looks, with a 29, it is very...
Opening.
Yeah, you can see... Opening. You can see that it's very cleverly been put on a set of, like, hidden rollers, but the rollers are also stonework themselves, so they look to be a part of the door.
It's like one of those terrible roller doors that falls off the tracks always, and you have to put it back on the tracks.
Yes, except this one is not designed to fall off the tracks. And it's actually really cool because the rollers themselves were built in, or at the very least cut out of the door itself. So when it's locked like this, the pattern is perfect and beautiful, and you wouldn't even notice that they're meant to be rolled. But you can tell with your 29, your godlike talent here, your investigation, you can see that the craftsmanship has been worked into this to where if it was shifted to one side, that these rollers would detach themselves and push the door up, and without damaging the artwork itself and without damaging themselves. So it's like this perfectly articulated, interconnected relationship between these rollers and the door in such a fine, beautiful way.
And so is it something that I'd be easily able to push open, or does it probably need some oomph behind it?
Yeah, it probably needs some oomph. You go up to it and you're like, oh, it just needs to slide, and you like try sliding it and you're like, no, you can't move it. It probably needs a lot of oomph to it. This is a very thick door.
I will turn to Malamala and say, if you will be so kind, you will need to push the door this way, and I'll show her kind of the angle and direction she needs to do it at.
Yep. If you could somehow slide it with your hands, absolutely.
Mal spits in both of her hands,
Oh, well, that
rubs them together,
That wasn't necessary.
puts them on the door, and tries to press it and slide it to the side.
All right. Go ahead and roll me an athletics check, Mal.
That's a 24.
24. You push with all of your might, and as you push and push and push, you're like, it's like watching the Olympics, the deadlift, what is it? The deadlift weightlifting championships at the Olympics competition, where they just have these massive weights, and so you prep yourself, you get it ready, and then you throw all your weight into it until Lance and Fleeple, it doesn't look like you're doing anything because you hardly moved, but they can tell that you are struggling and straining. And after 15 seconds of just intense grunting and pushing, it starts to slide open. And you get it about a fourth of the way open to where each of you can slide past this door if you'd like.
Guys, we're 20 minutes into this episode. We just opened a door.
That's the fastest anyone in D&D has ever opened a door.
Set the record.
The history of D&D.
Yeah. So as you escape the crypt, you are greeted by a very large, a very expansive cemetery. You, for those that know Waterdeep, appear to be in the City of the Dead.
That's comforting.
For my players here, it is a section of Waterdeep where the respectful, the dead, they go to lie, and they go to their proper burial, so to speak. And this appears to be where one of the teleportation circles for the Harpers happens to be. And in fact, as you look back, you see that same name, Myrna, above the door, as the door is slightly ajar. Next to the door, there are two massively tall statues in suits of armor, but they are also made of stone. And they are still, they are lifeless, and they seem to be, quote-unquote, standing guard, protecting the dead themselves. Inlaid and Fleeple, because of your not only passive perception, but because of your connection to the Harpers, and just trying to see connections where you can, directly in the center of the door, it is beautifully and intricately carved. However, Fleeple, you're able to pick up that there's one small spot directly in the center to where the intricacies sort of be flowing to, and it is the symbol of the Harpers, directly inlaid to the center of the crypt door there.
All right, so this is where we're supposed to be, apparently. I just don't know who further up in the chain approved this location.
I'll have to talk to Leosin and his superiors.
All right. Should we close the door so that, nobody else will sneak in?
I think that's a good idea.
Great. With the three of you now having the leverage of being outside and see that the door is slightly jarred, you can get onto the outside of the door. Instead of having to push from the inside it open, you can get on the outside, and the three of you can quite easily, and I mean easily actually, those rollers, as I mentioned, were designed to be pushed in this direction instead of being pushed against like Malamar was doing. It's very not only easy, but it's really kind of cool to see how the rollers on the bottom sort of like break out of formation and then into the door and then out and then in as they are assisting the door to be slammed shut.
All right. Well, the city's ours, I suppose.
What time is it?
It is the same time that it was in Neverwinter, actually. So, same time zone.
Which was?
What time was that? I forgot totally.
Yeah. Got
it's
him.
the same time.
It is the afternoon. Not quite the evening, but getting close. So we could say the equivalent of like 3:30.
Did they say where in Waterdeep I know it's a month away, but did they say where we're meeting up?
No.
Well, that's terrible directions.
You are a month early.
Well, how is he supposed to contact us?
Mal looks at Fleeple and says, well, now that we're in Waterdeep, a month early, should we maybe use that sending scroll to talk to Leosin, let him know that we're here, let him know we have the thing, and maybe he can recommend a tavern? I know we don't have a lot of words, but maybe he could recommend a tavern to stay at. Is there a Marriott Inn that has the conference center that we're going to be in?
Some dessert bars?
Yes, we should probably put together a list of all the things we want to ask Leosin about. Well, we probably want to inform him we have the mask, Rezmir's dead. We'll want to know where to meet him in a month's time, and perhaps where we can find lodging in the meantime.
What are the highlights of Waterdeep? The places you have to go. If you're in the city, you got to go there. You got to see the Statue of Liberty. Yeah. Well, and message or sending, you are limited in your words.
25.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everything you just said is pretty good to cover.
That we have the mask and where to go.
Rezmir's dead. Where should we meet in Waterdeep in a month, and places to possibly visit and or stay?
All right. Yes, I'm going to be very pedantic real quick, and I'm going to type this all out.
Yes.
Get a scroll out, write it out for yourself.
Yeah. I think that Fleeple would be more thoughtful in some of his words.
Well, while Fleeple is using several scrolls to try and, do some drafts.
No, not that. So let's say that while this is going on, you actually do see some individuals in the City of the Dead actually walking around, just like it's very nicely curated. So there are some like benches, there's some paths, and we even see some people that seem to be guards, just sort of like walking around peacefully and gently.
Lance, I know we got some money from Ralph, and then we gave him back some money from Ralph. How much did we end up actually getting from that encounter? And you have what's the term? Party fund, or our money, right?
Here's some. Yep, I do. Let me get my
Money, please.
Money, please.
I've never done anything wrong in my life.
Money, please.
I know, and I love you for it.
And I
Thanks,
love you.
Daddy. Money, please.
Money, please. All right. Yes. Let me see here. We have a bag of jewels from Ralph, and that we need to get appraised and possibly sell. And we also have, as a total party fund, not including our individual funds, 2,650 gold.
So I wonder if while we're in Waterdeep, should we maybe go to an appraiser and get these gems looked at? Maybe we could hit that illusory illusion place that you guys told me all about because I wasn't allowed to go. And
Can I ask, Mickey, what does Malamara look like right now? Because she's being very talkative for what just happened. So Lance wants to see generally, and I don't have to roll something. I don't want to like bear into the soul of Malamara, but like just generally facial wise, like because the way you're talking, it's like, well, this is not what I expected. So I just want to see like what is Mal on the surface looking like.
so the last time that we really talked, right before the transportation circle, she was very much in that Air 2 mode, very much in that dark place. She had a darker green tint to her skin, and she was really haggard. She was in the Bloody Bull for several days, and she was just so weighed down by that. And now you can tell, because you've known Mal for several months now, that her talking is almost a nervous talking. That, like, you're just trying to shake it off, like, oh no, everything's normal. It's totally fine. There's nothing wrong. And so her chatting, while she's trying to keep it light, but you can tell there's a nervousness to it. More like she's trying to forget or to block out that the other thing happened, and it does purposely feel like a total 180 shift from just a few minutes ago when you were talking to her.
It's the Lego movie, the unicorn Lego, who's just like, it's fine, it's fine.
Unikitty?
Yeah, Unikitty, that's right. Yeah, the Unikitty, that's right.
Yeah, everything's fine, it's fine, it's fine!
Yeah. All right, good to know.
So I wonder if we should go to the illusion, or I just think that we should sleep in style. We've kind of been staying in some crappy taverns, so I wonder if, like, while we're in Waterdeep, we really should, up that production value of our tavern.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we could. Mine's kind of thrown off by it. Yeah, we could do that. I think it just depends on, obviously, if Leosin has a place where the Harpers stay, or we could just find our own place.
I think that's great. Yeah.
Cool beans.
She just stands a little awkwardly.
All right, I've got the scroll.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
You're like, oh, thank heavens, Fleeple, you saved us.
Small talk.
All right. Exactly 25 words. Mask acquired. Resmir is dead. Where should we meet you in a month? Where would you recommend we visit and or lodge ourselves in the meantime?
That's 25 words exactly?
Exactly.
Woo. Good luck answering that in 25 words.
In 25 words. Thomas, so did you come up with a
did you
response
type
while we've
your
been
own?
chatting?
No. Because Leosin doesn't know it's coming.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, crap. Oh, 25 words. Oh, man. I'm losing. No, stop talking.
He's in the middle of a battle with whatever caravan stuff is going on right now.
Can't talk, come back later.
It just comes in. Pizza Val Absalom for you. All right, Fleeple, one more time. You cast the spell. Well, first off, let's actually, play D&D here. Let's take out the scroll. Let's describe this. Let's go through it, right?
Yes, it is a sort of comically tiny scroll, if I recall correctly, yes?
You are correct, and because your hands are a little bit smaller, it's less comically small. Still really tiny.
More just like adorably small.
Yes. Aw, Fleeple has his own... No, it's still too small for Fleeple. It's not even like a real scroll for Fleeple even still. It's like, instead of it being for like a tiny Barbie, it's like a normal Barbie in your hands, if that doesn't make sense. It's just a tiny, comically small scroll.
Yeah, we're playing D&D now. This is D&D, people.
Now, if I'm
speaking of
recalling
comical-
correctly, he just said that I need to destroy the scroll? Or was
Yes,
there
you
like
just break it.
Okay, break the scroll. Because, man, I kind of want to burn it because that's sort of my shtick, but...
Then you burn it and it doesn't work. You just burn it.
Oh no! Why? Fleeple, why? I just told you to break it.
All right. I'm going to put it between my claws and test the suppleness a little bit and just give it a nice little snap. Like a glow stick.
As you snap it like a glow stick, it breaks cleanly in half. And you see this purple and green energy start to rise from it. And starts to rise in front of you, and it's swirling together, and you know that the spell is ready for your words to send off to Leosin.
All right, and so I will repeat once more. Mask acquired, Resmir is dead, where should we meet you in a month, where would you recommend we visit and or lodge ourselves in the meantime?
As you finish these words, the purple and green, they swirl together even more, and then sort of implode on themselves, and you wait. And you wait.
You two can just converse amongst yourselves while I wait for the response.
Mal looks at Lance awkwardly.
Pretty shortly after, you hear a very groggy, tired Leosin respond. Excellent. Dead? Oh my. Council meeting in main castle, hoping to get Blackstaff and other important figures there.
4 more words. Anything else?
Try the smoked salmon.
I prefer the singing sword?
No, singing. That's what we got.
Well, no, Blackstaff is one word.
Oh, true.
That is true.
Black
that
staff,
is true.
or is it
Blackstaff
like a
one
black staff?
word. Blackstaff is the name.
Okay, all right. Then yeah, you got sword in there.
All right, the singing sword, just like that old Looney Tunes cartoon. All right, so which castle is the main castle? And I start looking around at presumably the many castles around us in this gigantic city.
Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot of castles in Waterdeep.
What did he say about Blackstaff? Just as a reminder, sorry.
Trying to get Blackstaff
Trying to get Blackstaff?
and other important figures.
Oh, trying to get
So that's
people
a
to
person.
the council. Gotcha. We're not supposed to get them. They're trying to get them there.
Yes, Leosin's implied that he's trying to get Blackstaff and other important figures. Who Blackstaff is, I mean, Lance, maybe you would know.
Do you want me to roll?
Only if you want to.
Sure. Ba-doo. I got a 14 plus my history, which is for 18.
18. The name just rings to you as just a very important person in Waterdeep as to what their function is. You might be able to make some deductions from the name itself, but who Blackstaff is, like where they are, what their function is, you're not sure. But Leosin informed you that they appear to be important, and that Leosin is now on a mission to gather other important figures to this meeting as well. So it is going to take some time, which you knew. It's going to be in 3 weeks' time, and it's just so you're really kind of left to your own devices here to be able to reflect, to really take the time. And so as each of you just start making your way through Waterdeep to the Singing Sword.
Are we going to this? We are going to the Singing Sword, so we're not going to the Illusory Illusion. We're going to go to the Singing Sword first, right?
Your choice.
Let's go check in first, but the Singing Sword is a tavern.
Yes.
Let's go clean up first.
Yeah, we'll have several weeks to look around this place, get everything just
get over your Mal's shell shock.
Yeah.
I need a shower.
I'll see if I can pick myself up a copy of Volo's Waterdeep Enchiridion, which is the official in-canon book that is included in Waterdeep Dragon Heist. That is just like all of the information about the city.
So, as each of you are walking toward the Singing Sword, it's a very bustling city. You knew, well, some of you knew, Lance in particular, you've never been to Waterdeep, but you have heard, it's, Ned, what is the word? It's the Sea of the Falling Stars or whatever. It's the crown jewel of the Sword Coast, quite literally. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. It's where, if you can make it in Waterdeep, you can make it anywhere, right? There are just towering structures. There are buildings that look like castles, only to be dwarfed by actual castles. And you see on the west side of Waterdeep, there is this sloping upwards hill with castles and towers just dotting the landscape. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people bustling around Waterdeep, going about their day-to-day activities. Lance, you see pickpockets running away with a score. Little kids. You see women with their children bustling down the road. You see guards chasing people out of an alley. You see just life springing forth in front of you. With that life, it is interrupted by these odd, gigantic statues that appear to be dotting the city itself. The most prominent one in close to the middle of the city appears to be this 40-foot tall just statue standing in the middle of the city. And as you walk by it, it's not conveniently standing in like a park or a place. It's just literally the city seems to have built itself around the statue because it was very inconvenient where it stopped. Why it stopped, what's its purpose, who knows, but it is just full of life and bustlement, and you sort of feel at home right now, and it gives you a chance to reflect as all of you have taken sort of this silence to just take things in, to keep an eye out, and you've really just kind of been left to your own thoughts, to your own emotions. So, Lance, what are you thinking about in this moment, at this time, as you're walking forward to the Singing Sword?
Lance is thinking a couple things. One is the way you describe the city. Lance is comparing it to his home that we just were in, Neverwinter. And it's almost like Neverwinter is what Waterdeep could have been if it just didn't hit so much bad luck. Like, Neverwinter is the city that could be grand, but it's just gone through so much that it's kind of the rundown, crummy city that's like still trying to hold on to its greatness. But it's, and he's looking at Waterdeep just at this pristineness and even in its filthiness, it still is like 10 steps above anything he's seen in Neverwinter. And he's half kind of like annoyed by it because he's like, okay, like the city's putting on airs almost to him. And then half of him's also like contemplating like how different his life would have been if this is the city he grew up in instead of Neverwinter. So it's kind of throwing him off a little bit. That's kind of some of the thoughts running through his mind. He's also just thinking about Malamara, and he's thinking about how drastically different she was just in that just from Neverwinter to here. And he's also starting to connect in his mind this idea of, well, he's starting to get worried again, because for the longest time he was like, okay, she's got this under control, and now he's like, she doesn't. How can we help? Can we help? If we try and help, is she just going to push away? And also, he's starting to think about a certain item in his possession that she seemed very drastically driven to take, and it's what we know as the Demonomicon. And he's wondering about that and how he's looked at it. And since he's looked at that, all of a sudden he's been able to start doing things that he's never been able to do before. And that's kind of worrying him. And so those are all the thoughts going through Lance's mind.
Yeah, and as you bustle through the city, just thinking about sort of like taking stock, absent-mindedly stopping a child from pickpocketing you and just tossing him off to the side, just without a moment's thought, and the child huffing off. It's just disturbing. The general feeling I got as you were describing your internal state is disturbed. Would you say that's appropriate?
Yeah, it's just like he's thinking of Neverwinter, and he's thinking just like, he's disturbed by obviously the Malamara stuff, but also just like, again, he's like, Neverwinter, you have to fight for anything, for a scrap. And here, even the pickpockets themselves are just doing it way too easy. And they're getting way too much. Like, he's just like, this city's almost gifting people good luck. And it's very strange for him.
Lance, as these thoughts are in your mind, and as you absentmindedly grab a youth's hand as they try to reach into your coin purse using a very popular, very common maneuver, and you just thrust him off to the side as you're absentmindedly thinking about all of this. All three of you make your way up to the Singing Sword. It is a very popular tavern. It's bustling with business as the workday is starting to close out, as it's starting to become dinner time, as things are starting to close up shop. It looks like a lot of locals here, and there's a wide variety of people that are popping up here. But locals for sure. You see some foreign travelers, perhaps like yourself. There are all sorts here. Half-orc, orc, tiefling, full elf. There's a turtle that you see walking around inside, stumbling around, and you see quite a few people. And from the inside, you hear this magnificent voice and clapping, and just a really rowdy bunch. It seems like some bard is performing when there seems to be music accompanying the singing. But as you walk inside, you see that there is no bard on the stage, or at least no bard singing, just one playing an accompaniment, playing some music in the background. And at the centerpiece of the stage is a long black sword, and there is a voice emanating from it, a very beautiful, very melodious, lively tune. And you go, oh, okay, it's a literal. Okay, so it's the Singing Sword. Okay. No, nothing hidden there, right? And you are able to, you have to wait a few minutes, probably a good 10 to 15 minutes, but you are able to find yourselves a table as somebody stumbles out, already pretty inebriated for the early hour of the day. But the three of you snatch the table up, shooting glances at people to say, this is just us, this is ours.
You can't sit with us.
Yeah,
Seats
exactly.
taken.
You can't sit with us! But Mal, as Lance and Fleeple, they order a meal for each one of you, which is a gold piece each. You are reflecting, and that nervousness, you've been trying to keep it at bay by just talking, but because you've been in silence for so long, you're not able to keep it at bay anymore. Things are flooding through your mind. things are spiraling for you, it seems. And you don't seem to be safe or secure, maybe within your own mind even. But that's me, the DM, thinking about Malamara's state. What is Malamara actually feeling?
As she's sitting down with her friends and their food is coming and they're having a fresh meal and there's lively singing and joking and talking and everything around them, almost the louder and the happier and jovial atmosphere it is, the more she sinks inside her. Where that nervous talking, where she was trying to put on a facade for Lance looking at her and trying to be okay with it, now that they're sitting down and quiet and have food at the table and are in their own thoughts, and she sinks deeper into herself and that facade just falls away as she can't keep it up. And she's very torn between... She starts to sink into that sadness and being upset, really, the more she thinks about what had happened, thinking about the Bloody Bowl, thinking about how she's lost control, thinking about the way that the people looked at her. Both the cheering crowd and the people below, how they gave her a wide berth, how they were afraid to be around her, really bothers her at a very fundamental level that she doesn't know how to grapple with. She's always been kind of an outsider, but she's never been this outside of everyone. And that aspect really bothers her. And she's really bothered about this night that she's lost. That she does not remember leaving the tavern and doesn't remember getting to the Bloody Bowl. And she's lost a whole night, and that scares her. So she has the depression from her actions and the terror of losing a whole night. And then every once in a while she'll see orcs walk by, and then she's reflooded with anger, remembering this encounter with her family, especially so fresh on her mind, and the hatred, just the straight pure hatred she has for orcs. And then that brings around a feeling of, no, I'm doing the right thing. This is what I need to be doing to get the revenge that I need for my family. And so she uses that to then reignite her emotion. So as everybody else is kind of in their own thing, she's going through this whole cycle of emotions, being really angry and hot, like on a high, and then falling into that depression, that sadness, that terror. Oh, there's an orc, and then reigniting that anger and the appreciation for Air 2 and everything he's giving her. And it is a very frustrating and confusing cycle to be in as she's quietly eating her meal.
So it seems, from what you described to me, it sounds like that the fire is sort of being reignited every so often, but the journey that Malamar is taking is very high-low, very quickly, it seems. So confident, moving forward, falling down, going into depression, and then picks back up, and then falling down, picks back up, as you are doing this motion of this back and forth, which is exhausting you emotionally and mentally. You have the thoughts and you have the phrases of Air 2, your grandfather, your brother, all bouncing around in your head. As the flame gets reignited, Air 2 says,
I will set you free.
As you fall down, to pull you down from that, you feel the words of your brother saying, maybe take the good parts from both, you know? And then you think of your grandfather and his totem and everything he did with you, and you saying I love you to him, which brings you down further. And it's just phrases from each of these three individuals, different every time, that takes you on this journey, which is why it's so emotionally exhausting. It's why it's so draining to you, and which is why, as Fleeple and Lance are continuing just casual conversation, you join in. That's what is expected of you. You must join in to some degree, or else attention will be brought to it. So you laugh You point out a funny situation. You hide your disgust. You talk about how good the meal is, but this journey is going on behind your eyes, behind your mask. The evening at the Singing Sword is lively, as this is. This sword loves to perform, asks for requests, and it gets requests called a popular ditty, The Barmaid and the Night. And then it goes to some of the more somber tales of the Thousand Nights of Fire, and there are some other more lively tunes. You have some singing, some sailing songs as well, some shanties, as Waterdeep is absolutely a port city. All variety here. And as Lance, Fleeple, and Mal, as I said, you all join in to some degree, whether hiding behind a mask or not, or trying to pull others from their mask. The night goes on, and you're able to feel, some of you, as you allow it, the tension to drain from your bones and your muscles, and really just sort of give in to the safety of this tavern. You ask for a room. I assume all the same room as has been done before.
I think I'm good with that.
As you make your way up to the room, a little bit drowsy, maybe a little tipsy for you, you start to all bed down for the night in your respective beds. And Fleeple, this is where we turn to you, and we check in with you and where Fleeple is at. You have the conversations between you and Lance fresh in your mind. You are nuzzling down in your surprisingly kobold-sized bed that they have here in Waterdeep, which is a shocker, but they have one that seems to accommodate you, and it is oh so nice. But what are some thoughts, what are some feelings, and what is Fleeple going through at the moment?
Yeah, Fleeple has been thinking a lot about why his mojo is suddenly so off and why he's full of so much doubt in this moment. I.e. Ned has been spending a lot of time thinking about that in behalf of Fleeple. And since the beginning, Fleeple has kind of felt himself in this kind of authoritative sort of position within the group in almost a paternal sense. You know, he is the one who is devoted to Bahamut, the one who is kind of the priestly figure, and also the one who is oldest, if not in literal years, kind of in station, in maturity, as it were. And so there's always been kind of this expectation that Fleeple has felt upon himself, whether this actually is an expectation that's coming from his friends or not. He at least has felt that there's an expectation that he's supposed to be the one who's kind of keeping the group together. And there have been strains on that over the course of this adventure. Right at the very beginning, Lance basically said, hey, we're going to do this one job, and after that, I'm out. And, you know, Fleeple was very sad about that, but thought, if Lance doesn't want to hang out with us, then who am I to try and hold him here when he doesn't want to be? And though Fleeple realizes that Malamar was not entirely herself when they were having that conversation beneath the bloody bowl, he still can't forget her comments about, why would I want to leave this place? This is where I want to be. And he's been uneasy about the situation with Malamar and Air 2 from the beginning to some degree or other. You know, those early conversations with Lance right after they fought against the Gith, like, hey, this is something we're probably going to want to keep our eyes on. But it's become more prevalent since then. There's the image at the end of the fight with Rezmir and Rathmodar, where it was this very plain image of Fleeple up in the sky surrounded by holy light, while Malamara is plunging down surrounded by darkness. A literal representation of how much further apart they're kind of moving on their paths from each other. And Fleeple's kind of played a little bit of tug-of-war to try and keep the group close together. You know, if we think about some of those early conflicts he had with Lance, you know, both of them on each side of the rope, Fleeple kind of trying to pull him in. Hey, you can open up to us, man, it'll be okay. But what's interesting about the current situation with Malamara is Malamar's not the one on the other side of the rope. Malamara is the rope. And the person we're tugging against is a very powerful demon. And what makes Fleeple the most uncomfortable about that is at any moment Malamara could decide to stop being the rope and to choose one of those two sides. If she chooses our side, there's a chance that we can win this battle against the demon. But if she chooses the other side, Fleeple doesn't think there's any way that he and Lance can pull her back.
Yeah, aptly put. This literal tug of war for not only the group, but for Malamara herself being Malamara and lying within Malamara as well would put anybody at unease, and especially one as wise and as one who has taken the responsibility of a god upon themselves, Bahamut. It's as if your station is giving you more insight, causing you to reflect upon the evil within inside somebody and them choosing a side instead of being buffeted about and just being tossed to the wind because of their nature and their situation. And although you don't have a solution, these fill your thoughts as each one of you drift off to either trance or sleep. You find comfort and refuge as the singing sword sings a closing, soft ballad below your room. It helps lull you into a very soft, warm embrace as each of you finally get a good night's rest in the town, or rather city, of Waterdeep. And that is where we're going to end this week's episode of I Cast Fireball.
Safe and sound for the moment. As you're meditating, that's your like om.
Some great moments there. Really nice for the DM to get a lot of that insight of how you all feel your players are doing. Also, I hope for the audience as well. I'm sure some of our audience members picked up on stuff that I missed out. So some of it's probably not new at all, but really satisfying to see where everybody's at. How is it going to resolve? How are we either going to come together, break apart? Are there going to be barriers? Are there going to be walls that just simply cannot be done? Will hard decisions have to be made? Of course. But when, where, and what will they be? We'll have to find out, maybe, next time on I Cast Fireball. Everybody, players, Ned, Jacob, Mal, Nikki, thank you for joining me this week.
You are your character.
And listeners, thank you especially for joining us on this week's adventure. As always, it means the world to us that you would join us along on this ongoing campaign. We've been recording this campaign for over 2 years now. I think we've stated that. We started recording in 2020, and it has been... Man, things have changed. It has been a heck of a time since it all began in Greenest, and we are just so grateful that you would continue to join us on this adventure. And anybody who's joined us in the past few months, thank you for jumping in and for binging our adventure here. Welcome along, and thank you so much. If you like what we're doing here, feel free to leave us a 5-star review on the podcatcher of your choice. It not only lets us know that you like what we're doing, but it gets us into other people's feeds so they can join on the adventure as well. If you'd like what we're doing and wanted to reach out in an email, we have an email, icastfireball2020@gmail.com, where you can send something a little bit longer, maybe magic item ideas, in-depth questions for one of our character or one of our players that maybe they will share with you that is upcoming or behind the scenes. And we also have our Ko-fi account, which should be linked below if you're feeling generous and able to support us. If you'd like to follow along on our weekly, daily going abouts for the podcast, follow us on our social media platforms at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at iCastFireball20. I want to give a shout out to our sister podcast, Improv Tabletop, where Ned has finished a fantastic Avatar Legends, that's Avatar The Last Airbender, role-playing game. Their first campaign just wrapped up, and Ned should be really close to, if not already, releasing season 2, right?
Yeah, by the time you're hearing this, we should have begun releasing episodes of our upcoming Blades in the Dao Fei campaign, set in the Avatar universe, but using the rule set for Blades in the Dark, one of my favorite RPGs and one of my favorite worlds to play around in.
Folks, D&D is the bread and butter of a lot of people's tabletop role-playing systems, but you really honestly got to give it a try. Ned is fantastic at introducing new people, myself included, who is a naysayer of trying other tabletop systems. Ned has converted me to trying new things and really exploring what they have to offer. So go give that podcast a listen. They have Fate Accelerated. They have the Avatar Legends. And now they've got Blades in the Dark. It's just a fantastic time. And don't forget to leave them a 5-star review on the way out. Lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and fellow wacky adventurers. But until next time, I'm Thomas, your DM. And around the table we have...
Malamara.
Lance Thalen.
And Fleeple.
Let's keep that fire going, everybody. And we'll see you all next time.